Hello again, everybody. Welcome to your second sample question for the AIPP. So I hope we're getting a better understanding of the AIPP, of course, in the context of your upcoming ICCRC full skills exam. But remember that even though we are looking at this through the context of your exam, this might play an important role in your career as an RCIC. So it's great because you get to really explore this as an option for some of your clients. And of course, these questions are going to help you to bridge the knowledge that you gained in your diploma program, or maybe you graduated and then this program is new, so you didn't get a chance to cover this in your diploma program. Hey, don't worry, we've got you covered. You're going to be able to you should have a pretty good understanding now of the AIPP, and of course, we're going to help you refine that knowledge so that you can see those AIPP topics within the context of your ICCRC full skills exam. All right, so here is your second question. I've got the countdown timer over here, and I'll let you read for a bit, then I'll read the question for anybody who is listening to this, but not watching the video. All right, so your 2 minutes is complete. Now, hopefully you got the answer to this question. You would have definitely had to use your test day data booklet, of course, and hopefully you got the answer correct. We'll see if, of course, the procedure you went through to get that correct answer is the right one. Now, I'm just going to read this quickly, just in case, like I said, anybody is listening to this and not watching. Okay, so we have Noelle. Noelle recently booked an initial consultation with RCIC Nathaniel and received the fantastic news that she might qualify for immigration through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Project. In going over her information, Nathaniel noted that Noelle arrived in Halifax 2 years ago to study full-time to obtain a master's degree in computer science from Dalhousie University, one of the top universities in Canada, and just graduated yesterday. During her studies, Noelle worked 20 hours per week as a programmer at EA Sports, a leading graphics company in the province. Because her school semester was 4 months long, she always returned to her hometown in Australia to help out on her parents' dairy farm as soon as school finished, and she always returned to Nova Scotia the day before school began. Her employer at EA Sports was very accommodating for this schedule, and she always began and ended work the same day as school. Now that she has graduated, her company would like to extend a full-time offer for Noelle to work at their PEI office if Noelle can obtain permanent residency. Was Nathaniel correct in advising Noelle that she qualifies for the AIPP? And then we have our 4 options. So for A, we have she qualifies for the PEI International Graduate PNP, so there is no need to go through the AIPP. We have B, if the company is designated, Noelle might qualify for PR through the Atlantic High Skilled Program. We have C, she qualifies for the Nova Scotia International Graduate Entrepreneur PNP, so there is no need to go through the AIPP. And D, if the company is designated, Noelle might qualify for PR through the Atlantic International Graduate Program. All right, so now we are left with our three options, B, C, and D. Now you can see that there is another one we need to take a look at that is a specific PNP, and that is the Nova Scotia International Graduate Entrepreneur PNP. All right, so again, we are looking at this one and we're wondering really if she qualifies for this or not. Now, in order to know if she qualifies for that program, well, we need to know what those requirements are. And you can see all of this section in red again, so you probably know that this is not the correct answer. But in terms of your studying and when you're working through the simulations, when you're working through the videos, remember that even if you get the correct answer, it's really essential to know why the answer is correct or incorrect. Because the procedure for you to work through to get that correct answer, that is more important than getting the correct answer or not. Because even if you get the correct answer, sometimes you might just get lucky. But if you have the correct procedure to work through every single time on every single question, well, then you'll get hopefully every answer correct. Now, if you join us for the seminar, that's exactly what we work through, are those procedures. For this question here, if you use your test day data booklet and you found those requirements of the Nova Scotia International Graduate Entrepreneur PNP, well, we can see pretty easily that she doesn't intend to start a business or anything like that, similar to the previous question that we saw, so she doesn't qualify for this one. All right, now we are left with B and D, and essentially the only difference between these is that she would either qualify for the Atlantic High Skilled Program or the Atlantic International Graduate Program. So the beauty of this is that we know she qualifies for one because in terms of the answers provided, that's all that they give us. So we know that she's going to qualify for one of these programs. The question is, which one? Okay, so now we need to see if B is the correct answer. And it says if the company is designated, then Noelle might qualify for PR through the Atlantic High Skilled Program. So remember that the company being designated is essential. If the company is not designated, well, they won't get a job offer that can be used for the AIPP. So, assuming that the company is designated, remember that the work experience requirements for Noelle herself would have to be NOC OAB. And in terms of the time itself, so remember there's role and time. Well, the time would be a minimum of 1 year, and that could equal 1,560 hours. Paid non-continuous is okay. Full-time or part-time is okay. An important one, though, of course, is that has to be within the last 3 years. And here is something really interesting about the AIPP, and that is that when people study and they work those 20 hours per week during the school semester, well, that counts towards work experience in the AIPP. So we have to see how this relates to Noelle. Now, we know that Noelle arrived 2 years ago to study full-time to obtain a master's degree, and she obtained that degree, of course. So what she did, though, was every semester she would show up the day before the semester and leave right away afterwards. So the time that she was in Canada, or in Nova Scotia, was 4 months at a time, basically. All right, and she worked the exact same time. So we know, when we think of this a little bit mathematically, we know that she worked 4 months times 4. So she had 4 sort of periods of 4 months where she worked because her master's degree was 2 years. So that equals 16 months in total. Now, she worked 20 hours a week, so because that's all that she was allowed to do, of course. And with this, we can add this up. So that's 80 hours per month over those 2 years, which of course was 16 months of work, because the other times she would spend back in Australia. Now, in total, that equals 1,280 hours of work. But that is just not enough, because we can see that the minimum requirement there is 1,560. So she's missing just a little bit under 300 hours of work experience. So with this, we know that B is not the correct answer. Okay, so with this, we're only left with D. Now, if you chose D right from the start, well, that is great. I'm sure for most of you, you had to really work through each option here in order to find the correct answer. Well, even with D, we just want to confirm that this is the correct answer. So that's what we're going to do in the next couple of slides here. So now when we correlate the information here about Noelle with the requirements of the AIPP International Graduate Program, well, we could see a pretty good match. So we've got her information over here. She certainly attended a publicly funded Atlantic institution as a full-time student for 2 years. She got that credential. That's where the timeline is something that plays a role, because she obtained that 2-year credential within the last 24 months. And there are not really necessarily work experience requirements in this specific section of the AIPP, so she's good. And of course, she's got that job offer. All right, so if you chose D right from the start, that is really amazing. I'm sure most of you were choosing, well, you probably worked through all the answers, really. And hey, that's what you have to do. So we saw that D is the correct answer. And if you chose this, well, congratulations, you're on the right track. If you didn't get that answer, you'll get it next time. Work through the process, again, of answering this question. Use the materials, of course, and you'll be on the right track. Okay, again, a very big thank you for tuning in. It's our pleasure to put together these lessons for you and, of course, to help you pass the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. For a lot of you, this topic might be new. Maybe you didn't cover it in your diploma program. Well, that's fine. You worked through the lesson. You worked through these 2 questions. If you're going through the other simulations that we have, well, you're going to be really covered in this topic. And it's not that big of a topic, but of course, it can play a role on your upcoming exam. So you don't have to worry about it anymore, because you should feel way more prepared for this. All right, so have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lessons.